It's amazing. Like when you become a parent, things become much more, life becomes, it lines things up for you a little differently, right? Like before you have kids, me and my wife, we can travel anytime. There's work and, you become you have a very clear focus. But when you have children, it becomes about them. It's not about you guys anymore, right? And so that shift, it's a big one. It's one of kind of a selfishness together, and then to being absolutely selfless and doing anything you can for your kids. And so what I'm trying to do is create content to teach them first and foremost. That's why I started this whole thing, is just reading stories to them that I felt like didn't exist. Our kids are athletes, and they love reading about princesses and all these fairy tales, and they get a little sick and tired about the man saving the princess every time. The same old stuff, the magical wands and all that. My kids are athletes, man. They want to learn about soccer balls and basketballs and volleyballs and, magic that comes from that. Writing Dear Basketball, that was a hard jump, because I'd written before. I started writing probably about 17 years ago. So practicing every day. A lot of things that I wrote were ads. And so when you write an ad, nobody looks up at who wrote the ad, right? You can there's a certain anonymity that comes along with that, right? But writing Dear Basketball was different. I was putting it out there for the world to see. I was trying to create a short film, and I didn't know if I could do it, man. And it was my daughter who kind of put things in perspective for me. Gianna, she's now 13, and she was like, "Well, you always tell us to go for it." No, man, it's just something I enjoyed, and I enjoyed writing ads. It was something funny about trying to distill a message down into 30 seconds or a minute, depending on the budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to say something important, trying to speak to the, brand attributes, but also speak to something that's greater and that has a stronger message, stronger philosophical message. And how do you connect those dots? So putting that puzzle together was something that was really intriguing.
Yeah.
But I never thought I'd be writing novels or movies and that sort of stuff. Never, man. In today's world, there's so much clutter. It becomes harder for kids to try to weave through a lot of the crap that's out there to find stuff that's actually beneficial to them. It's about the metaphor that sports has for life. I mean, sports is the greatest metaphor we have in terms of dealing with life. Because, even if you listen to music will give you guidance, right? That you can then meditate on and think about how you would apply it. In sports, you have to apply it in the here and now. I mean, you're faced with challenges moment to moment. You're faced with pressures and anxiety, communication or the lack thereof, and all sort of stuff. Like, it's in the moment. So you have to live it. And when you practice those things, you become better at it. But I just feel like in this day and age, our children have become less imaginative about how to problem solve. And parents and coaches have become more directive in trying to mandate or give orders or teach kids how to think and teach kids how to behave versus and tell them how to behave versus teaching them how to behave. Well, it did more than that, right? So like the basketball stuff speaks for itself in terms of what that comment did for me, in terms of giving me stability and giving me confidence to say, okay, it's okay to fail because you're going to be loved no matter what. And that doesn't just mean basketball. It means anything in life. That means writing. That means being an entrepreneur. That means having the confidence to go for it. And I've seen too many parents do the exact opposite. And it terrifies children. And children become paralyzed by their own fear because they don't have that security blanket of love and comfort. What I try to do is just try to be still and understand that things come and go. Emotions come and go. The important thing is to accept them all, to embrace them all, and then you can choose to do with them what you want versus being controlled by emotion. A lot of times I've seen players, even myself, when I was younger, being consumed by a particular fear, and to the point where you're saying, okay, it's not good to feel fear. I shouldn't be nervous in a situation like that. And it does nothing but grow. Versus stepping back and saying, yeah, I am nervous about the situation. Yeah, I am fearful about the situation. Well, what am I afraid of? And then you kind of unpack it. And then it gives you the ability to look at it for really what it is, which is nothing more than your imagination running its course, Like you think about game-winning shots. And or game-winning free throws. And people go to the free throw line and they're nervous about it. Well, what are you really nervous about? If you unpack that, okay, you're nervous that you're going to miss the shot. All right, so you miss the shot, then what happens? People are going to be embarrassed. You're going to be embarrassed because thousands of people, millions of people see you miss the shot. All right, and then what? People are going to talk bad about you. Okay, right? And so you're looking at it and go, are those things even important? You know what I mean? If that is my fear, like what is, you worried about letting your teammates down? Okay, have you let them down before? Well, I'm sure in practice and things of that nature, right? They're still there, you know? And so when you're able to unpack it, you kind of look at it for what it is, which is really nothing. Don't hide from it. You know, you got to be able to look at it and, you know, and deal with it head on. You know, trial and error. You know, you grow up and you make game-winning shots and it's awesome. You come back the next day and miss a game-winning shot and it's misery. And then the next day comes and you're back playing again, and you understand that life has this cyclical nature where it's, you know, what you do on Monday, it's fantastic, but then Tuesday is a bad day. But guess what? There's Wednesday. So are we just supposed to live our lives like this the whole time? You know, versus just staying like this and understanding that it's really just a journey of evolution every day. It's just constant improvement, constant curiosity, constantly getting better. The results don't really matter. It's the figuring out. And like I've seen a lot of players, especially now, you know, in youth basketball, dealing with that. You have players that are like bigger, faster, stronger, and you know their coaches are just coaching them for results. We're just going to use your size because you're bigger than every other 12-year-old out there to dominate today. But they're not growing, right? So they're just based on that result, but they're not focused on growing this young child into becoming a better athlete. And through that, teaching them how to become a more well-rounded person. And we're missing that. Well, I had to do that because, you know, growing up in Italy, when I first moved over there, it was, you know, I didn't speak Italian. I didn't have any friends. You know, I had the game of basketball, and through sport and playing soccer, I was able to make friends and build connections. But it was a lot of time spent alone. And when I came back to the States, I wasn't the most athletic kid. You know, I was really scrawny, like really, really skinny, and had like major knee issues because I was growing. So I was the dorky kid with high socks and big old knee pads.
It's fashionable now.
It's fashionable now. It wasn't then. It wasn't then. And so I had to look long term because in the here and now, I couldn't compete with these kids. I mean, there was kids that were like 12 years old with beard. They're doing windmills and dunking backwards, and I'm happy to like tap the backboard, you know? So I had to look at it from a long term because I wasn't going to give up on the game.
Right.
So I had to say, okay, this year, I'm going to get better at that. Next year, this. And then so forth and so on. And then patiently, I was able to catch them piece by piece. And it's the consistency of the work, which I feel like a lot of parents are missing today because we're not teaching that to our kids. We tend to say like kids don't want to do the work, but in reality, it's when we're failing them because we're not leading them the right way and teaching them, you know, how to fish, you know what I mean? And so like the consistency of work, Monday, get better. Tuesday, get better. Wednesday, get better, right? And you do that over a period of time, you know, not like 1 month or 2 months. I mean, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And then you can get to where you want to go. Well, it's a little different. Like in basketball, it was different because I expected to win, you know, like I expected us to win championships. I expected us to win 5. Quite honestly, I expected us to win 8. And so when you have that vision in sports, it's a direct competition. Like I know how hard they're working. I know how hard we're working. I know what their strategy is. I know what ours is, you know? So it's a little different. So when we went in the NBA, it was like, yeah, we expected to do that. But now we're going to come back and we're going to do it again, you know? And so it's that constant like, all right, you're churning. You win one championship, I'm back in the gym the next day, working, getting ready for the next one. Now, it's different because it's not about the awards. You know, you just wind up trying to create something that's going to inspire someone that hopefully, you know, through that inspiration, they can inspire somebody else. And what I've come to learn as my career went on is that's more significant than any championship. Is how do you connect with somebody that can then connect with another? And then with whether the awards come or not, you know, that's for, the Academy Award body to decide. But, you know, like for us, it's just to try to create things. You know, we're looking at 62% of young children are dropping out of sports, 62%. And they cite the fact that it's not fun anymore. But what does that tell them? I mean, that's telling us as grown-ups are getting in the way. Get out the way. Let these kids be imaginative, which, you know, like in our stories, it's important that, there's a fantasy nature to it. right? But it's rooted in reality, right? When we have fire-breathing winged horses and things of that nature, those are actual drills that are taking place. We don't have fire-breathing winged horses actually performing that, but we do have ball machines that are spitting balls at tennis players, right? And so all of our stories are all anchored in an element of truth, so that children feel like when they are doing these drills with these ball machines, they can envision maybe it's a fire-breathing winged horse.
Yeah, to keep them excited.
Yeah, they can envision Gus throwing fireballs at them.
Yeah.
And even the plays, like when in the Wizenard series, when the basket is opening up and shrinking, these are things that we experience as athletes. Like some days I feel like I can't make a shot, man, and the basket feels like the size of a keyhole.
Yeah.
And other days it looks like a swimming pool.
Yeah.
That's magic. And so we root our magic in reality, so that when kids experience these things, particularly the failure side of it, they can connect it to one of our stories and say, okay, I've seen this before. I know how to deal with this.